as she emotional detachment is not indifference, it is strength. This is a truth that many fail to understand because detachment is often mistaken for coldness or apathy. But true emotional detachment is not about shutting down your feelings or avoiding connection. It's about developing the inner strength to stay steady when life becomes chaotic. It's about being able to engage fully with life while maintaining control over your emotions rather than letting them control you. Emotional detachment is the ability to stand in the middle of the storm without being swept away by it. It's not about feeling less, it's about feeling deeply without being ruled by those feelings. When you understand emotional detachment, you discover a strength that cannot be shaken by external events. Life will always bring challenges, disappointments, and heartaches. That's the nature of existence. But emotional detachment gives you the ability to face those moments with clarity and strength, rather than becoming consumed by them. Detachment allows you to process emotions without becoming trapped by them. It gives you the ability to care without being destroyed when things don't go the way you want them to. You can love without losing yourself. You can experience disappointment without being broken by it. Detachment teaches you that you are not at the mercy of life's circumstances. You have the power to shape how you respond to them. Strength through emotional detachment comes from understanding that you don't have to react to every emotion that arises. Feelings are temporary, they come and go, but your response to them is what defines you. When you develop emotional detachment, you give yourself the space to pause, to breathe, and to choose how you will respond, rather than letting your emotions dictate your actions. This is strength. The strength to remain steady when your heart feels heavy. The strength to walk away from situations that are not serving you. The strength to love even when it hurts. And the strength to release what you cannot control. Emotional detachment teaches you that strength is not about avoiding pain. It's about not being consumed by it. Life will bring pain. That's unavoidable. You will experience loss, betrayal, disappointment, and failure. But emotional detachment gives you the strength to feel that pain without letting it define you. It allows you to sit with discomfort without running from it. Detachment teaches you to acknowledge your feelings without becoming imprisoned by them. You can feel sadness without becoming sadness. You can feel anger without becoming anger. You can feel disappointment without letting it shape your identity. Emotional detachment gives you the strength to separate who you are from how you feel in any given moment. Detachment is not coldness, it is power. It's the ability to feel fully while remaining grounded. When you are emotionally detached, you can face difficult conversations without becoming defensive. You can listen to criticism without internalizing it. You can care about someone without being destroyed by their rejection. You can love someone without losing yourself in them. Detachment gives you the ability to stay centered no matter what is happening around you. It gives you the strength to stand firm when the ground beneath you feels unsteady. Detachment allows you to maintain clarity when emotions run high. It gives you the ability to see things as they are rather than as you fear them to be. When you are detached, you are no longer driven by the need to protect yourself from discomfort. You can face hard truths without running from them. You can let go of relationships that are not serving you without feeling like you are losing a part of yourself. Detachment allows you to experience the full range of human emotions without being enslaved by them. Emotional detachment teaches you that you are not defined by how you feel in any given moment. You are defined by the choices you make in response to those feelings. When you are angry, detachment gives you the strength to step back and respond with calm rather than aggression. When you are hurt, detachment gives you the strength to process that pain without lashing out. When you are fearful, Detachment gives you the strength to face that fear rather than retreating from it. Detachment gives you control over your inner world, even when the outer world feels chaotic. True strength is not about never feeling pain, it's about not allowing that pain to control you. Emotional detachment gives you the power to stand tall even when you feel like you are breaking inside. It gives you the strength to move forward even when you feel uncertain. It gives you the courage to release what no longer serves you, even when it's painful. Detachment teaches you that you can handle whatever life brings, because you are not defined by what happens to you. You are defined by how you respond to it. Strength through detachment allows you to live with greater freedom. When you are emotionally detached, you are no longer a prisoner of other people's opinions or approval. You no longer need others to validate you because you have learned to validate yourself. Detachment teaches you that you are enough as you are, even if others don't see it. It teaches you that your worth is not tied to success, relationships, or recognition. Detachment allows you to move through life with confidence because you are no longer seeking approval from others. You have learned to approve of yourself. Detachment gives you the ability to let go of control. You cannot control how others think, feel, or act. You cannot control the outcome of every situation, but you can control how you respond to those realities. Detachment gives you the strength to release the need for control and find peace in the midst of uncertainty. When you are emotionally detached, you stop trying to fix people. You stop trying to force outcomes. You stop trying to change what cannot be changed. Instead, you focus on what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, and your mindset. Emotional detachment allows you to engage fully in life without being consumed by it. You can work hard without being defined by your success or failure. You can love deeply without being shattered by loss. You can care about others without losing yourself in their approval or rejection. Detachment gives you the strength to live with open hands rather than clenched fists. You are able to give without expecting anything in return. You are able to release what is not meant for you without feeling like you have lost a part of yourself. Peace comes from mastering your response, not controlling the world. This is the foundation of emotional detachment. You cannot control the world. Life is unpredictable. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will change. Success will come and go. But when you have mastered your response, none of that will shake you. You will remain steady in the face of uncertainty because you have learnt to control what matters most: your inner state. Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the ability to remain calm in the midst of it. When you have mastered your response, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You no longer react impulsively to every challenge. You respond with clarity and wisdom. You are able to pause before you act. You are able to separate emotion from truth. You are able to engage with life from a place of strength rather than weakness. Mastering your response gives you the ability to face life with confidence. When you are no longer ruled by emotion, you are able to make decisions based on wisdom rather than fear. You stop overthinking because you have learned to trust yourself. You stop fearing the unknown because you have learned that you can handle whatever comes your way. When you master your response, you become unshakable. Life will test you. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. But you will remain steady because you have learned that true peace comes from within. You have learned that happiness is not something that happens to you. It is something you create by mastering your thoughts and your actions. You have learnt that you are not at the mercy of life's storms. You are the one who controls how you navigate them. Freedom comes from letting go of attachment to outcomes. This is a truth that many struggle to accept because we are conditioned to believe that happiness comes from achieving specific goals, obtaining certain results, and making things work out the way we envision. But the truth is, freedom does not come from control. It comes from surrender. It comes from understanding that you are not defined by the outcome of your efforts. You are not defined by success or failure. You are defined by the strength you show in the process, by the courage you display in the face of uncertainty, and by your ability to stand tall even when things don't go according to plan. Attachment to outcomes creates suffering because it ties your sense of worth and fulfillment to something you cannot fully control. You cannot control how others will respond to you. You cannot control the success of every venture. You cannot control the unpredictable nature of life. When you attach your happiness to a specific outcome, you give away your power. You place your emotional state in the hands of circumstances that are beyond your control. And when things don't unfold the way you hoped, you feel crushed, not because you failed, but because you made that outcome the source of your identity. Freedom comes when you release the need for things to go a certain way. It comes when you stop measuring your value by how well things work out. Letting go of attachment does not mean you stop caring or stop trying. It means you shift your focus from the result to the effort. It means you give your best, knowing that your worth is not tied to whether you succeed or fail. It means you stop placing your happiness on the other side of an achievement and learn to find peace in the process itself. Letting go of attachment allows you to take risks without fear of failure. When you are attached to an outcome, you become hesitant and fearful because you've convinced yourself that your happiness depends on success. But when you detach, you free yourself from that burden. You can take bold steps because you understand that the outcome is not the point. The growth and strength you gain from the process are what truly matter. When you are no longer controlled by the need to succeed, you open yourself up to new possibilities and unexpected blessings. You begin to trust that even when things don't work out the way you imagined, you are still on the right path. Detachment does not mean giving up. It means finding strength in the effort itself. When you release attachment to outcomes, you stop obsessing over what might happen and focus on what you can control. Your mindset, your effort, your attitude. You start showing up fully for life because you are no longer held hostage by the fear of failure. You begin to see setbacks as stepping stones rather than signs that you are on the wrong path. Detachment allows you to embrace the journey, knowing that the destination is not what defines you. When you are free from attachment, you become more present. So much of life's stress comes from obsessing over the future, worrying about how things will turn out, fearing that you might lose what you've built, wondering if your efforts will pay off. But when you detach, you stop living in the future and return to the present moment. You begin to engage fully with what is happening now, rather than being distracted by what might happen next. Freedom comes when you stop waiting for life to unfold in a specific way and start embracing life as it is. Letting go of attachment allows you to experience life more fully because you are no longer filtering every experience through the lens of success or failure. You can pursue your goals with passion and intensity, but without desperation. You can care deeply about people without being devastated by their rejection or approval. You can give your heart to a relationship without being shattered if it doesn't last forever. Detachment allows you to love, work, and live with your whole heart while remaining steady, no matter the outcome. Freedom from attachment gives you the power to walk away from situations that no longer serve you. When you are attached to an outcome, you stay in places that are draining you because you are afraid of letting go. You hold on to toxic relationships, unfulfilling jobs, and situations that no longer align with your values because you are afraid of losing what you've invested. But when you release attachment, you give yourself permission to walk away. You understand that your peace matters more than holding on to something that isn't working. You stop seeing walking away as failure and start seeing it as strength. Releasing attachment to outcomes allows you to trust the process, even when you don't understand it. Life will not always make sense. Sometimes things will fall apart without warning. Plans will collapse, relationships will end, opportunities will slip away. But detachment allows you to trust that even in those moments, you are exactly where you are meant to be. You begin to understand that the universe is not working against you, it is guiding you towards something greater. When you detach from the need to control the outcome, you create space for new blessings to enter your life. Detachment gives you peace, because it allows you to stop fighting reality. So much suffering comes from resisting what is. We try to make people into who we want them to be, rather than accepting them as they are. We try to force outcomes rather than flowing with the natural rhythm of life. But when you detach, you stop fighting. You stop trying to force life into your version of how it should be. You begin to trust that what is meant for you will come, and what is not meant for you will fall away. Detachment allows you to live with an open heart, knowing that you are enough no matter what happens. Happiness is not something you receive, it's something you create. This is a truth that changes everything. Happiness is not waiting for you on the other side of success or love or approval. It's not hiding behind the next accomplishment or relationship. Happiness is not something that happens to you, it's something you choose. It's a state of being that comes from within, not from external circumstances. We are taught to believe that happiness is tied to achievement, that we will finally be happy when we have enough money, when we meet the right person, when we reach the next milestone. But that belief is a trap. If happiness is always tied to a future event, it will always be out of reach. The truth is, happiness is not something you find, it's something you create in the present moment. It's not about waiting for life to be perfect, it's about learning to find peace even when life is imperfect. Happiness comes from learning to master your internal state rather than relying on external circumstances. When you stop tying your happiness to success, you free yourself from the roller coaster of life. You stop rising and falling based on what happens around you. You begin to find peace in small moments, in the warmth of the sun on your face, in the sound of laughter, in the quiet stillness of a morning. Happiness becomes a choice rather than a reward. When you understand that happiness comes from within, you stop chasing it. You stop looking for it in relationships, achievements, or possessions. You stop expecting other people to make you happy. You take responsibility for your own emotional state. You begin to understand that happiness is not about having everything. It's about appreciating what you already have. It's about learning to be fully present and grateful in the moment, rather than always striving for more. Happiness is not dependent on perfect conditions. It's possible to feel at peace even when life is chaotic. It's possible to feel whole even when things are not going the way you imagined. Happiness comes from accepting life as it is, rather than wishing it were different. It comes from releasing the need for control and learning to trust that you have everything you need within you. When you stop looking for happiness outside of yourself, you begin to experience a deeper, more lasting sense of fulfillment. Creating happiness means learning to love yourself as you are, not as you think you should be. It means learning to sit with discomfort without trying to numb it. It means learning to be kind to yourself even when you feel like you've failed. Happiness comes from knowing that you are enough, that you are worthy even when things don't go as planned. True happiness is not found in what you achieve, it's found in how you choose to see yourself and the world around you. Loving without attachment brings true strength. This is a truth that challenges the very foundation of how most people approach love. From an early age, we are taught that love is about holding on, about possessing, about needing someone to complete us. We are taught that love is a fragile thing, that it must be protected, controlled, and defended at all costs. But real love, the kind of love that brings true strength, is not about possession. It's not about control. It's about allowing. It's about giving without needing to receive. It's about loving freely, without the fear of losing, without the desperation to hold on. True love is not attachment. Attachment is based on fear. The fear of losing someone, the fear of being alone, the fear of not being enough. When you are attached, you are not really loving. You are clinging. You are trying to extract security from someone else. You are using love as a shield against the emptiness within you. But love that is born from attachment is not love. It's dependency. And dependency is not strength, it's weakness. When you love without attachment, you stop needing the other person to complete you. You stop trying to mold them into your idea of who they should be. You stop seeing them as the source of your happiness and start appreciating them for who they are, imperfect, evolving. Loving without attachment means you give without expectation. You love because you choose to love, not because you expect something in return. To love without attachment is to stand firmly in your own strength. It's knowing that even if that person leaves, even if the relationship changes, even if life pulls you apart, you will still be whole. It's knowing that your happiness and your peace are not tied to whether someone else stays or goes. It's understanding that love is not about ownership. It's about freedom. You give them the freedom to be who they are without trying to control them. You give them the space to grow, to change, to make mistakes. And you release the need for them to fulfill you. When you love without attachment, you love from a place of abundance, not from lack. Most people love from emptiness. They seek relationships to fill the void within them. They look for validation, for security, for someone to reassure them that they are enough. But that kind of love is fragile because it is built on need rather than strength. When you love without attachment, you no longer need the other person to make you feel whole. You already feel whole within yourself. Your love becomes a gift rather than a transaction. It becomes something you give freely, without strings, without fear. Loving without attachment allows you to handle heartbreak with grace. When you are attached, losing someone feels like losing yourself because you've tied your identity to that person. But when you love without attachment, you understand that people are not possessions. You cannot lose what you never owned in the first place. When someone walks away, you don't crumble, because you were never holding on to them out of fear. You were loving them from a place of strength, and strength remains, even when circumstances change. To love without attachment is to stop trying to control love. You cannot force someone to stay. You cannot make someone love you the way you want to be loved, and you cannot make a relationship last by gripping it tightly. Love thrives when it is free. It grows when it is allowed to breathe. The more you try to control love, the more you suffocate it. But when you let go, when you allow love to unfold naturally, without expectation or fear, it becomes stronger. It becomes more authentic. It becomes real. When you love without attachment, you also release the need for perfection. You stop expecting the other person to meet all your needs. You stop resenting them when they fail to fulfill your expectations. You stop holding them to impossible standards. Instead, you love them as they are, flawed, human, imperfect. And you love them knowing that they have the freedom to grow and change, just as you do. This kind of love is not fragile. It's resilient. It's not based on fantasy, it's grounded in reality. Loving without attachment also means you stop trying to fix people. You stop thinking that love means saving someone or changing them. You accept that people are on their own journey, and you respect that journey even when it is different from your own. You stop trying to mold them into the version of themselves that you want them to be, and you begin to love them for exactly who they are. True strength comes from knowing that you can give love without losing yourself. When you are attached, you make the other person your source of happiness, and that gives them power over you. But when you love without attachment, you reclaim your power. You give love from a place of strength, not weakness. You stop fearing loss because you know that your peace and your wholeness are not tied to someone else's presence. Loving without attachment also allows you to handle conflict with grace. When you are attached, disagreements feel threatening because they seem like a threat to your security. But when you are not attached, you can engage in conflict without defensiveness. You don't need to win. You don't need to prove your worth. You can listen. You can compromise. You can stand your ground without fear of losing yourself. You begin to understand that real love is not about agreement, it's about understanding. To love without attachment is to love with courage. It's easy to love when you feel secure. It's easy to love when the other person meets all your expectations. But real love, the kind that transforms you, happens when you love even when there are no guarantees. It happens when you open your heart fully, knowing that it might be broken, but doing it anyway because love is not about security, it's about vulnerability. And vulnerability is the birthplace of strength. Emotional detachment is the key to inner freedom. Freedom is not found in getting what you want. It's not found in perfect circumstances. It's not found in the absence of struggle. Freedom is found in detachment, in learning to remain steady and at peace no matter what happens around you. Emotional detachment is not about becoming cold or distant. It's about reclaiming your inner stability. When you are emotionally attached to outcomes, to people, to circumstances, you are constantly at the mercy of forces beyond your control. If things go well, you feel good. If things go badly, you fall apart. You become reactive, unstable, and vulnerable to every shift in your external world. But when you detach emotionally, you reclaim your power. You stop giving the outside world control over your inner peace. You learn to respond rather than react. You begin to understand that your emotional state is not determined by what happens to you, it's determined by how you choose to interpret and respond to it. Detachment allows you to remain steady in chaos. Life is unpredictable. Relationships will change. Plans will fall apart. People will disappoint you. But when you are emotionally detached, you don't crumble when things don't go as planned. You remain grounded because your sense of peace comes from within, not from the shifting nature of the world around you. Emotional detachment allows you to set boundaries without guilt. When you are emotionally attached, you allow people to drain you because you fear losing their approval. But when you detach, you understand that protecting your peace is more important than pleasing others. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop apologizing for prioritizing your needs. You begin to understand that saying no is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. Detachment allows you to let go of resentment and forgive more easily. When you are emotionally attached, you hold on to grudges because you feel wronged. But when you detach, you release the need for revenge or validation. You forgive, not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve peace. Inner freedom is not about escaping life's challenges. It's about meeting them with strength and grace. Emotional detachment gives you that strength. It allows you to face life without fear, to engage fully without losing yourself, and to love deeply without becoming dependent. When you detach, you become unshakable, because your peace comes from within.